What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be doing something a little off-brand for my YouTube channel, but I'm going to be doing a full overhaul of the batteries on my Skiff. So we're going to be switching from regular flooded batteries to lithium ion for my trolling motor, and the intention of this video is to help others who are potentially looking to do something similar for their boat and want a little bit of guidance. Hopefully I can help out a little bit and show my process. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into it and give you an overview of what we're gonna do here. Alright, so on my boat I have a MICTUNING Riptide. I believe it's a 2022 model, but it's the 80-pound thrust model, so it calls for 24 volts. And currently in the boat I have two 12-volt regular flooded batteries that are basically dead at this point. The last few times that I went out, they just were dying quicker and quicker, and then finally, the last time I went out, even on a full charge, the trolling motor just wouldn't start up at all, and I was basically just idling around everywhere. So for the area that I go, I'm on the trolling motor a ton, so I really need to have some stable power there. So that's why I'm going to be switching to lithium, with the added benefit of the batteries being a bit lighter, to help me get into a little bit more of the skinny locations that I need to while chasing the fish. Alright, so ignore how dirty the boat is. She's in desperate need of a detail, but here's what we're working with currently. We have two 12-volt interstate batteries. They are the Econo Power, so they're kind of like refurbished batteries, and these are what the previous owner had in when I bought it about a year ago. And the batteries are from 2022, so they were kind of getting close to the end of their life cycle anyway. But yeah, I did not care for these batteries very well. I didn't keep them charged up properly, and they ended up dying. So we're not going to do that with the lithium batteries. We're going to be a little bit more on top of it. But basically, we need to get these removed, and we'll get them replaced with the lithium batteries. Now, when we go to lithium batteries, we're going to need to change the charger out, because this charger does not support lithium battery charging. I think what I'm going to do with this is move it to where the starter and house battery is in the stern of the boat, and we'll have that get hooked up for that battery. It'll just be a single bank, not the two bank, so we'll just tie up the extra cable there, but I think that's the plan. Alright, so here's what we're going to be working with on this install. Like I just mentioned, we need to switch out the charger. So this is a NOCO Genius Gen 5X2. It's a 10 amp charger, 5 amps to each bank, and this one's going to be able to support the lithium batteries, so that's why I went with this. As far as the batteries, we have some LiTime lithium batteries here. They're 12.8 volt, 100 amp hours, and they're kind of like specifically marketed for trolling motor. So these should work out pretty nicely. Lithium batteries are pretty expensive, but these ones are not. I want to say they're around 200 a piece or so. So we'll see how they do. I've heard good things about them being a more budget lithium brand. They do have the battery management systems in them, the BMS. However, they do not have the Bluetooth ability to hook up to your phone like some of the more expensive models do. I do believe they have a model that has Bluetooth, and it's probably around 50 to 100 bucks more total for the package, but I just went with these because I think these will work just fine. And with these being group 27 size batteries, I wasn't 100% sure. I think the ones in the boat currently are group 27, but I went ahead and got some new battery trays just in case, because when I measured the other ones, they looked like it might be a tight fit. But if I can use the other ones, I'll probably just keep those and return these. However, we do have those if we need them. And in addition to that, we're actually going to be installing some more easier access plugs here. So a couple of AC ports. These are MICTUNING, just kind of like a cheaper version. I think NOCO makes one, but I couldn't find the white one and I wanted white. So we're going to be installing these just so it's a little bit easier for me to charge up the boat, because that's the mistake I made last time, was not keeping everything charged up, just being lazy and not wanting to get in the hatch. But with this, we should be able to just kind of flip it open, plug our extension cord in, let it sit overnight and do its thing. With that, we're going to need, I believe, a 2-inch hole saw. So I just picked up a little Walmart action with the hole saw because I couldn't find mine. And yeah, that's about it. I think with this setup, we should hopefully be good. I'm not switching out the house battery yet because it's a newer battery from 2024. Same thing, the Econo Power. I think it'll be okay for now, but I'll likely be switching that out pretty soon. But I did get two of these so that we could hook up the house battery with a plug as well as the trolling motor. So we'll have everything covered, and it should be nice and easy and smooth sailing from here on out once we get everything installed. And I do want to mention, I will have links for all of this down in the description in case you guys want to kind of mimic the setup or get anything that I'm going to be using here. They are affiliate links, so I'll get a little bit of kickback, but it won't cost you anything. It'll help me out a little bit, so if you guys are looking to get any of this stuff, click on the link below. Alright, so our first step here is going to be getting these batteries uninstalled, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I do want to note, I took a picture of everything here just so I know what's going where. Like our main power here to this battery, we have the jumper, and then the ground on this side. So I took a picture just so I know, future reference for the next batteries, where I'm going to want to plug everything in. The only thing that's going to be different is these charging wires. It'll probably be pretty similar, but they'll look a little bit different, I'm sure. Okay, so as I mentioned, these batteries are a little bit longer. However, I did test fit, and it does seem to fit a little bit. Just kind of bows out the edges just slightly on the length. But I think these mounts are going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and use these. I'll clean them up a little bit and just reuse these for now. So that way I can return the other ones and I don't have to go screwing into the hole again. So we're going to go ahead and use these, and next step is going to be to remove the charger and replace it with the new NOCO charger. And by the way, the weight difference here is absolutely insane. The LiTime battery I can very easily lift left-handed, my offhand. This one, it's a lot heavier, takes a lot more effort. This is basically nothing. Can't throw that one around like that. So definitely a worthwhile upgrade if you're trying to save a bit of weight, especially in the front of the boat. Okay, so kind of a worst case scenario for me here with removing the charger. The screws on it actually have nuts on the back side, so I'm going to have to kind of use that little porthole there to try to get a wrench on all four corners here while unscrewing the front. So I'll probably do that off camera so y'all don't have to see me struggle, but just know if I get it off, that's how I did it. And I'm going to try to avoid installing the new one like that if possible, but we might have to do that if it's not secure enough with just the self-tapping screws or whatever we're given with the new charger. Alright, so I was able to get that off. As you can see there, it was super not fun. It ended up being a 3/8 nut on the end there, and the 3/8 wrench isn't very long, so I really had to reach in there, and yeah, it wasn't a good time. I don't think I've had to bend my body like that in many years, and hope that I don't really have to do it again after today. So we're gonna go ahead and get that cleaned up a little bit with a little bit of degreaser here, and then we'll go ahead and get the NOCO installed there. Alright, so I went ahead and got myself some shade, got a tent set up. That Florida sun started peeking out behind the trees there, and it got real hot real fast. So wanted to get that set up, and I'm actually using the old batteries as a weight for the tent, which is kind of funny because they're so heavy, but the new ones wouldn't do too well with that. But we're going to go ahead and do a quick unboxing on this thing, see what we're working with and what the best way to install it's going to be. These were the screw/bolts that were holding down the old one, so we might be able to reuse these if we want, but I think this will probably come with some type of screws, so we'll see if those work. And just so you know, like I said, has lithium charging abilities, so should be good there. Those were those AC port plugs I was talking about. Like I said, I don't think they have them in white, so I went ahead and got the MICTUNING, but if you're a brand snob, I guess go with one of these and keep it the same as the charger you got. Alright, so like I said, it has some self-tapping screws here. We can try them. I'm not sure if it's going to work if the fiberglass there is strong enough for it, but we can try them. If not, like I said, we'll probably go with the bolts and do the whole annoying thing with the nuts on the backside. But there's the unit, pretty comparable in size to the Charge Pro, a little bit smaller. Weight's about the same, maybe this is a little bit lighter, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and try to get this thing installed. Alright, got that installed. No biggie really. I just put the first kind of self-tapping screw in over there and did a rough measurement to the other screw and just got it started. It is a little crooked. Not terribly, but not a problem for me. I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, install is pretty straightforward. I'll have to kind of keep an eye on the screws here to see if they hold up enough over time. Otherwise, I'm going to keep the kind of nuts and bolts for that, just in case I want to switch them over and get it a little more secure. You never know, as I'm bouncing on waves and stuff over time, those might kind of back out or strip or something. So, but for now, it seems pretty secure, seems good, so I'll go with that. So the next step here is going to be getting the batteries installed. That should be pretty straightforward. Like I said, I took a picture beforehand of how it was wired before, so just gonna go ahead and do that for the new ones. And then the next kind of big task after that is figuring out where I want to put that AC plug. So I'll have to think about that one a little bit, but let's go ahead and get the batteries installed. Alright, so unlike a traditional battery, these lithium ones just have the bolts to use as the posts, whereas the other ones had both a, kind of built-in posts and the bolt. So we're going to go ahead and get everything installed here. Here's one of the leads for the charger, one of the banks, so pretty straightforward. You just have a negative and a positive, so hook them up properly to avoid damaging your battery. Pretty straightforward stuff. Alright, so just to give a quick explanation here, We have two banks on the battery charger, so we have one of the banks going to one battery and the other going to the other. So here we just have the negative terminal for the charger, as well as the ground or negative for the trolling motor, and on the other side we have the positive wire for the charger, as well as the positive lead for the jumper that goes to the negative post on the other battery. So this is just putting the batteries in series. I'll pop up a little explainer about that just to explain further. But basically positive on one side to negative on the other, and then we have the negative for the other bank, bank 1 from the charger, going to the negative on the battery here, and then the positive going to the positive with the positive lead of the trolling motor there. So this is exactly how it was set up before, so gonna keep it the same. But yeah, the wiring for the batteries here is pretty straightforward, especially if you have an example. Like I said, just take a picture of what you had beforehand and basically mirror it. So now we have the batteries installed. We'll just go ahead and figure out a spot for the AC plug. So one thing I did want to note real quick is they do recommend that you first fully charge the batteries and then connect them in parallel for them to balance out. I'm gonna need to double check, but I think the NOCO will handle that for me, even though it's in series. Like, it knows smartly how to charge the batteries. I will double check that. If that's not the case, then I'll go ahead and follow their recommendation and unhook the series cable there, get them both charged up separately, and then put them in parallel for 12 to 24 hours to balance out. But I think we'll be okay with the charger. I think most chargers these days are smart enough to get that figured out for you. Actually, just realized they have a pretty good explanation here of series versus parallel. So it says in series, when you're connected, it doubles the voltage. So like I said before, the trolling motor is a 24 volt, each of the batteries is 12. So connecting them in series, two of them will get us to 24. Connecting batteries in parallel is basically going to double the capacity of your battery. So if you, for example, get two 24 volt batteries, you can double the runtime that you'll be able to get if you put them in parallel. Whereas with the 12 volt in series, your capacity is as good as one of the batteries alone, if that makes sense. Alright, so this might be the most controversial point of this video, but I think I'm actually going to install the AC port directly to the hatch, kind of towards the front by the charger, and let me explain why. So looking here, obviously I would love to have it in a vertical place, but behind this is just straight gas tank, pretty much all the way across until you get to the fishing rod holder holes there. So there really isn't much room for me to install that thing without getting in the way of either the fishing rod holders or potentially the gas tank. There might be a little room kind of like in this area here, but I don't know if I'll be able to even see kind of back in there and or reach back in there to be able to install it there, and I'd rather not risk drilling a 2-inch hole into my gas tank. So the only other real options are just to kind of do it in the deck, kind of like they did with the trolling motor power cables there. But I think I'd prefer to have it on the door because, you know, structurally speaking, I'd rather not drill a hole in the actual deck itself. If I can do it in the door, that's a little bit more easily replaceable or repairable if something goes wrong. So I think we're just going to do it in the door, like here somewhere. And there should be enough slack in the cable so that when I open it, it shouldn't be an issue. And I think it'll look clean that way. The only issue I have with doing it like that, first of all, being horizontal and being on the deck like that, is that this is where I do like cast netting and whatnot, so it gets pretty wet here. But I think also putting it on the door here will allow me to be able to seal it up a little bit easier with some caulk or rubber 5200 or whatever. So I think that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do here. Let me know in the comments if you would have done it differently, how you would have done it, but I think that's gonna be the best option for me. Alright, so that was pretty straightforward. Just drilled the 2-inch hole for the main thing to go into, and then put it through, and just drilled 4 holes, pilot holes for these screws, and screwed it in. The only thing I'll worry about a little bit maybe is these screws not being stainless steel. I'm not sure if they are, but they do have some type of coating on them. If they do start rusting, I'll just put some nuts and bolts in there, some stainless nuts and bolts, but it seems pretty well sealed. I'm not too worried about it. As you saw, I did put a little bit of silicone on the inside, but I probably pushed it through. Yeah, pushed it through on the back side, so I'm going to seal the underside here just to kind of make it pretty watertight as can be. But yeah, as you can see, the operation of it is just fine, you know, just lifting it up, and we'll go ahead and plug that into the charger, and we can get everything tested out here. So yeah, I'm gonna do the quick little bit of silicone on this thing, and then we'll do a little bit of cleanup and get it tested. Alright, so as you can see, we got it plugged into the top deck there, and then that's going into the charger. And on the charger, you can see we're lit up blue there. That means that we're charging lithium, and as you can see, the batteries are pretty low because they have to ship them pretty low due to some like regulatory thing about shipping lithium batteries since they catch on fire easily. But yeah, we're gonna get them charged up here, and I think our system here is pretty much done. Alright guys, so I think that's going to be it for today's video. I was going to do the house battery and the starter battery with that old charger, the Charge Pro, moving that back there for that, but kind of over it at this point. Been a long day working on this. Not that this install was super difficult, but just took a lot of time, especially with filming and whatnot. But alright, so sorry to interrupt the outro here, but I filmed that video a few months ago and I wanted to give a quick update. So for the house battery in the back of the boat, I did end up installing that MICTUNING AC port here, and it is going to a different charger. If you can see it back there, I ended up going with a NOCO Genius 5x1, so similar charger to the front of the boat for the trolling motor, but just a smaller package here than the other 2-bank one that I had. Even though this is still an AGM battery, I just decided to go ahead and buy a new one that's a little bit smaller and easier to install. So that's why I went with that, and this setup has been working great. I just keep the boat kind of plugged in, and then the charger just kind of does its thing back there. So I'm pretty excited to have the lithium battery set up. You know, I'm going to have more consistent power out while I'm on the boat, on the trolling motor, which I do a lot where I go. And I think overall, you know, with the lighter batteries and whatnot, it's a good setup, and I'm really honestly excited about having the plug here, because I hated having to open the hatch to plug in the batteries every time and just have the cord kind of hanging out pinched between the hatch. So I'm excited to have this. I think it's a pretty clean setup. The only issues I can foresee, like I mentioned, you know, the screws, if they start rusting, or just, you know, the location of it. That's where I stand when I'm fishing most of the time, so it might be annoying having another kind of raised thing there, but I don't think it'll be too bad. You know, I have, you know, hatches everywhere, so those are a little bit raised up, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But overall, pretty happy with the install. Like I said, all the stuff that I used I'll have in links in the description. Let me know if you need help, you have any questions on anything. I'll try to help you out the best I can, but pretty excited to have this set up and all working. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for the video today. So thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.